Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to Sports Talk. I'm Jimmie Menezes.
I'm Jay Freeda.
Welcome to our show this week. Jay, we got a couple emails from viewers that said you guys talked about the 49ers for like 5 minutes and didn't mention the Raiders at all. Yes. So guess what?
Raider
Central
time.
Valley, it's Raider time. That's exactly it. So let's start with the good news, Jay. Raiders this year, 8 of 22 touchdown scoring drives. That means 8 out of their first 22 drives.
36%?
On 36%. That is the best in the NFL. Mm-hmm. You're trying to dish out some bad news.
Well, the bad news is that every offense against them
is also the best in the NFL.
The best in the NFL with 500 yards average. So on the other side, it's not good. But again, no defense for the Raiders.
Right. Well, and the thing is and this is what's pretty appealing, because last year the Raiders didn't have an offense or a defense. So now that they at least have the offensive side.
Well, the offense did look better for the Raiders, especially by the end of the year.
Exactly.
And last game, they scored 28 points.
Right.
So if the defense would have did half of the job, they could have won.
Exactly. And, a lot of people are saying this, but it looks like Derek Carr is legit, which
Derek Carr is legit.
It's been a long time since we said good pick in the draft, Raiders. And it's also interesting, too, because it's not just Derek Carr. He's got a good ensemble around him. He's got Amari Cooper. He's got Latavius Murray still. He's got Clive Wolford. They got a tight end. It's catching passes there. There's Jalen Richard with the big touchdown run in week 1. Plus, they also got the Washington guy out there, Rashard Washington. So he's really good. And it's really strange to see that the guy that was starting, Latavius Murray's kind of taking a back seat, but at the same time, it's hard to argue when you're the best offense in the NFL at this point.
Yeah. I think it's, they got a good charisma to them. They got good chemistry, that building. It's just the defense. They got to stop people from scoring and give them a chance.
Well, the reason why the defense is not playing so well, not only are they not getting pressure on the quarterback. I mean, everybody thought Khalil Mack was going to be sacking people.
He was so quiet in game 2.
Right. I thought he was hurt. I thought he was hurt.
It was good double teaming. And if you notice, the other team, they were chipping them a lot.
Right.
There would be another guy chipping them and then going to block somebody else.
But I think the real problem with that defense is the secondary. And who would have known it isn't DJ Hayden all along? It's just Raiders secondary. There you go.
Yeah.
And the only thing we can really say about this is, since they are the worst offense in the NFL,
start your quarterbacks against them in fantasy.
Exactly. Fantasy-wise speaking, 2 weeks, 2 games in the can, both starting quarterbacks against the Raiders have been ranked number 2 in fantasy for points. Looks like they're going to be in a lot of shootouts this year. It looks like they're going to be sort of a West Coast version of the Colts, if you will.
What do you think they could get the defense together, though? Can they make enough changes?
Jack Del Rio showed me that he's not afraid in that week 1 going for 2-point conversion, which I think is one of the more important things of an NFL coach to.
But if he didn't, would they be 0-2?
I don't know. I do think that if they had the best offense in the NFL, which means that they would have gotten that kick in the overtime, there's a 36% chance they would have won it. I think is what that breaks down to. Okay. But at the same time, Jack Del Rio decided he wanted to get it taken over with first and foremost. And I think that's important. And I think that when you get the team behind you, it's easy to motivate your team, and it's easy to get in a guy's face and grab his face mask and yell at him and get the results you want, so that you don't have to grab his face mask and yell at him on the next play, which let's be honest, Raider fans, has been a problem for the past 3 or 4 years for the Raiders. So finally, we're starting to get a culture change in there. We're starting to get Jack Del Rio. It's his team now. And not only is it his team, but when it's the team's on the field, it's Derek Carr's team. And honestly,
I think Jack Del Rio really started that last year when he really approved them. Like after the first game this year, he said, "No, we learned how to stay in the game. Now we got to learn how to win." So I think they got a legit coach, a legit running back, a legit quarterback. They got some really legit receivers. They just need legit cornerbacks and a defense to go with it.
Right.
And maybe another rusher up front to go with Mac. I think they need somebody coming off the other end.
Alden Smith will be coming back at some point.
And that's who they're really missing is Alden Smith. I think that will be the difference.
Well, the thing is when Alden Smith's there, he can't double team and chip Khalil Mack when he's rushing.
Exactly what they were doing last week.
And I think that's going to make a big difference. But I think the biggest difference is in that secondary, which, again, we've been really critical of DJ Hayden the past couple of years. But apparently the problem hasn't been DJ Hayden. It's been whoever's covering that side. Maybe it's because whoever's covering that side is playing on infield dirt half the time when they're covering guys. Could be something simple like that.
Yeah. The stadium and the ground and the feet definitely got something to do with it, but they just getting burned.
Right.
And it's about a lot of it is about recognition of what the offense is doing before they do it, because they're not recognizing who the hot receiver is or not covering up for another guy when he goes over the top.
And if that's what the case is, that's something that can I won't say easily be fixed, but it's something that can be fixed through coaching and through watching
it's
video.
definitely coaching, and you got to teach them to recognize stuff better. And a lot of it's on the linebackers too, because he's the quarterback of the defense, so he needs to put people in the right position. But then there's still people who just getting burned. There was a couple times that game where the guy was there, he just got burned. So
let's play a quick game of over-under before we shoot it out to the East Coast. 10 wins for the Raiders this year with that offense and that defense.
I'm sorry, Raiders fan, but I gotta say under.
I'm gonna actually have to say it's an even. I think they finished 10-6 simply because of the reason that we've seen terrible teams or teams with terrible defenses like the Colts, who've actually went and won Super Bowls. I know it's saying a lot to compare Peyton Manning in his prime to Derek Carr in his prime, but at the same time, I don't think it's too unreasonable to think that you can get those same kind of results.
I think they can get 10, but I think only if they get the close games. Because last year they lost a lot of close games,
and those
bad
close
decisions.
Those close games are what's going to kill him, and I think the Jack Del Rio knew that, and that's why he went for 2.
Yeah, definitely. He did not want to go into overtime and take that chance. Definitely.
Yeah, because that would be more of a gamble than just knowing that
I like the confidence he had though, telling them, "Hey, we're gonna go down the score and we're going for 2."
I can't believe Derek Carr just threw it up like that too. There you go. And then we didn't mention Week 2 Raiders fans for a reason. But yeah, we appreciate you guys reaching out to us and letting us know we didn't talk about the Raiders at all. So that one's for you, RJ. And speaking of gambling in particular, let's shoot out to our East Coast gamble-holic out there, K-Sizzle, who
lost last week.
Who, by the way, lost a personal bet last week. The Redskins lost their game to the Cowboys, which
0-2 Redskins.
Right, 0-2 Redskins. Kirk Cousins is getting yelled at like crazy.
So is he making it to the end of the year?
Kirk Cousins?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Is he back next year?
Who else? I don't think he's back next year, but who knows? They could slap a franchise tag on him and keep him around for another year too. So, I mean,
no franchise tag for that guy.
I think that would just be the end of his career because the price of ball on Kirk Cousins would go up, and I don't think people want to pay that. But anyways, we might be stepping on Ken's toes. That might be something he wants to talk about. So let's shoot it out to our East Coast correspondent, K-Sizzle, a.k.a. Kenneth Campbell. Ken, take it away.
Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, Jay. What up? My name is Kenneth Campbell, a.k.a. K-Sizzle, right here, MyTV26 Sports Talk. All right, man. So last week, I ain't do too good on my picks. I went 7-9. That's unacceptable. So this week, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just cut it back a little bit and do 5 games to keep things nice and quick. All right, so we're going to start things off in Tennessee, where the Titans are hosting the Raiders. It's going to be a tough ball game. Both teams right here are right on the cusp of getting themselves into the playoffs. They're both young squads. They both got young, talented quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, defensive players. Both these teams are very stacked all over the board. I just happen to think that the Raiders are going to win the AFC West. In order to win the AFC West, you got to win tough games like this. They're going to do it. I got the Raiders to win on the road. All right, next game. We got my 0-2 Redskins coming into New York to play the 2-0 Giants. The Redskins look a mess. They do. They look discombobulated. They're already pointing fingers at each other. Gruden won't let people protest. I don't know. I don't know. The Giants are playing very good. Eli Manning, he's playing good. And they always beat the Redskins at home. I know. I'm a Redskin fan. You know what? I'm still going to pick the Redskins. I'm not very confident in my pick. I doubt we're going to win, but they're my squad. I got to go with them. I got the Redskins. Next game here, we got the defending champs, Denver Broncos, coming into Cincinnati to play the Bengals. The Bengals, AJ Green, Andy Dalton, versus one of the best defenses in the league. Probably the best defense that we've seen since Ray Lewis and Ed Reed and those guys. I got Cincinnati at home. I think Pac-Man is going to make a big play late on the young quarterback. All right, so the next game here, we got the New York Jets coming into Kansas City to play the Chiefs. The Chiefs defense is 30th in the league in rushing defense. And the Jets, they're 5th in the league in rushing offense. I don't know. Kansas City's always tough at home. I like Alex Smith. I like Andy Reid. I never really liked the Jets. I got the Chiefs to win this game at home in a tough ball game. Next game here, we got the Ravens 2-0 coming into to Jacksonville to play the 0-2 Jaguars. Ravens got the #1 pass defense in the league. Jaguars got Blake Bortles averaging 309 yards a game passing. Something's got to give. I don't think the Ravens are as good as that 2-0 record. I don't think the Jags are as bad as that 0-2 record. I got the Jags to win a tough game at home. Last game here, we got the 49ers and Seattle. So we got Kaepernick kneeling on the sideline with Eric Reed and the Seahawks locking arms in a game that the Niners are going to get blown out in. And you guys deserve it. You guys turn your back on your quarterback who's fighting for equality and standing up against injustices. And you guys are sending him death threats. But there are those Niner fans that are in full support of Colin Kaepernick, but it's just too bad that he's not your starting quarterback and Blaine Gabbert is. So I got the Seahawks to win at home in an easy ball game. My name is K Sizzle. Holla at your boy. Get right back to Jimmie Menezes in his Fantasy Minute. Holla.
Thanks, Ken. Welcome to Fantasy Minute, everybody. I'm Jimmie Menezes, here to give you a rundown quick of our MyTV26 Sports Talk League. Myself, the 209ers, we finished the league with the second highest score. We had 114 points total league. Big games from LeGarrette Blount, Greg Olsen, the Houston defense. Deakies defeated me in week 1. She's also undefeated. She's 2-0. She got a huge game for DeAndre Hopkins and another monster game for Matt Forte, who's shaping up to be the early season candidate for fantasy MVP at this point, at least. He's also looking like he's going to touch the ball on average about 472 times this year. Anybody who's ever had Matt Forte before knows that he's an injury risk and that that's probably not going to happen. So just ride those wheels until he falls off, people, because you're going to need to. Also, a quick shout out to last year's champion, Janeiro Freeda, my co-host on the show and our station director. He's 0-2. I stomped him last week pretty hard. Through no fault of his own, he accidentally started AP and Danny Woodhead, who both left the game with injuries. And speaking of injuries, AP all day is probably all over. He's got a torn MCL. They're talking like he might come back this year. They're talking like he might come back at the start of next year. Honestly, he's kind of already older. He's 31 years old. He's probably not going to be doing... He wasn't doing squat anyways. If you had him for those 2 games, he wasn't doing anything anyways. I'm thinking AP is all done. Dante Moncrief, huge stud wide receiver out there in Indianapolis. He went down with an injury. His shoulder's messed up. They're looking like he's going to miss a few weeks. Danny Woodhead out for the year. Of course, the Chargers just went out and re-signed. They went out and got Dexter McCluster to replace him. So that looks like that if you're able to go pick up Dexter McCluster in the next couple weeks, that might be a nice solid pickup because, as you know, Phillip Rivers does like to check down to his running backs and tight ends quite a bit. Doug Martin, Thomas Rolls, a couple big running back names are on that list. We're not sure when they're going to be back. The biggest thing that I can say is if you're out there and you're looking and gambling on Seattle's running back core, Christine Michael's probably the guy to have. And if you need to go to the waiver wire and you need to find help, especially at the quarterback position, Carson Wentz, we're going to talk about him a little later because Jay Freeda, my co-host, is an Eagles fan. But he's only owned in 17% of leagues, which means that you have a good chance to go out and get a guy that might turn into this year's Marcus Mariota, who is playing absolute lights-out football, and he's totally startable in every league. I would even go to say that Carson Wentz at this point is startable, especially if you're looking at somebody like Alex Smith as your starter at this point. Also, interesting side note, Ronnie Hillman, running back, cut by the Broncos early this year. He just signed with Minnesota, so he's going to be in that mix with Matt Anastasia and Jerick McKendra. So just so you know. Also, Jonathan Stewart out there in Carolina, he got injured as well. Fozzie Whitaker is available in 36% leagues. Overnight, he literally got picked up in 30% leagues. He's only available in 39% of the leagues now, but he's still a pretty valid candidate to get first running back type carries. Another guy that you might be hearing a little bit about, is a wide receiver named Corey Coleman out of Cleveland. He had a monster game in week 2. The problem is in Cleveland, it's week 3. They're already starting their third quarterback of the season. Let's just hope that they can start 16 dudes in 16 games this year. At that point, it's a crapshoot to guess which wide receiver quarterback combo is going to pay off. I am saying Corey Coleman just because Travis Benjamin had similar value last year, and he's turning out to be a super stud out there in San Diego this year, especially with Keenan Allen being hurt. One of the nice things too is there's a wide receiver out there in New York, especially if Eric Decker or Brandon Marshall or even both of them miss time this week. It's Quincy Enunwa. He's having a couple monster games. It's looking like Fitzpatrick's really like throwing into the guy. He's also looking like he's going to be coming out of there's certain positions that you can always kind of count on. Slot receiver for the Jets for the past 4 or 5 seasons have always been good. You've seen Eric Decker go from slot to number 2, so on and so forth. He's one of those spots that there's real value there, especially if it's available. Sort of like a slot receiver out there, whoever's being a slot receiver for Ben Roethlisberger in Pittsburgh. Similar kind of, or maybe even whoever was Peyton Manning's slot receiver. And I think that Quincy Enunwa is going to be really good out there. Also, Nelson Aguilar, we're going to talk about him a little bit, but he is my super stud fantasy sleeper of the week. You can guarantee that Pittsburgh isn't going to be double teaming Jordan Matthews the whole time. They're going to be concentrating on shutting down Ryan Matthews the whole time, which means that the number 2 wide receiver is going to be getting single coverage with they're the worst secondary in the NFL, not call the Raiders, people. Start Nelson Aguilar. He is going to go nuts. I guarantee it. Also, if you need some tight end help, Jesse James out there in Pittsburgh is available in over 80% of the leagues. He's Heath Miller version 2.0. That's all I can really say about that. He's had a couple good games. He's good for at least 10 points in a game if you're looking for some bye week help, if you're looking for injury help in the next few weeks. Don't be afraid to look there because Big Ben has a history of throwing to his tight end, and he also has a history of making his tight end a valuable asset, especially when that receiving core things are happening, like Antonio Brown's getting double team or Marcus Wheaton's dropping passes right out the gate. So, that's pretty much what we got this week for the Fantasy Minute. Feel free to get a hold of us at the station if you need any questions, if you want any help with picking out your starters. So that said, I'm going to shoot it back over to Jay right now. Jay?
I'm Darren Kitt, and I'll be your host for Fright Time Theater, starting October 1st every Saturday night at 10 p.m. So join me for Monster Movie Madness on MyTV26.
Economy Bike Shop, Modesto's newest family-owned bike service and repair shop. We specialize in custom rebuilds. Looking for a new bike? We have those too. Diamondback, Huffy, Schwinn, and GT to name a few. Come in and say hi, and if you mention MyTV26, we'll give you a discount. We're located in the Athenian Plaza, 1501 Coffee Road, Suite C.
Welcome back to Sports Talk. Thank you, Jimmy, for that Fantasy Minute.
No problem, Jay. Sorry to throw that in there about the 0-2, but you beat me up pretty good in week 1. Let's get that started. Speaking of getting beat up pretty good, is that a Eli Manning jersey?
This is an Eli Manning jersey. My favorite Manning brother.
Oh, that's not saying a whole lot at that point.
All Manning do is win in big games. Remember that.
Unless
I know Case Israel gonna like this though, because his team is playing the Giants this week, and I doubt they go win. And probably
that's why you bust that out of the back of the closet. I see. So are you a closet Giants fan? Just an Eli Manning's fan? How's this work?
Well, I'm a big sports guy anyway. I always have a different jersey on, but definitely I'm a Manning fan. Eli Manning, just because in the big games he won. The big game. That season when they took the Patriots down, when they had the undefeated season, and there was a wild card coming in, nothing but 4 home game or road games, and they still won. You gotta love that guy.
I was going to say he is the only person that I would bet against Tom Brady in a big game.
Man, he got his card. And I really like what the Giants are doing this year. They got got a really good receiving core. I even like the new guy, Shepard. I think they're going to have a really good year once Victor Cruz get a little bit more on track.
I think Victor Cruz is back. I think.
I still think he got to get a little bit back under him. But I think this week,
well, he's not doing
with
the
Norman,
salsa no more. But at the same time,
he did when he scored.
But at the same time, Victor Cruz is still. He's putting up those Victor Cruz fantasy-wise numbers that he was before, and it looks like he's healthy. It looks like he's catching balls.
Well, I think he's going to catch more this week because Norman's going to be on Odell Beckham wherever he goes. So it's kind of going to leave whoever else they got, which is not as good as Norman.
Unless they put ODB in the slot, they were saying. If ODB goes in the slot.
But he's probably going to follow him around. So I think that's going to leave Cruz really open. And then I think the second best, of course, is going to be on Cruz and maybe even a double team, a safety over the top. So I think Shepard is going to have a really good game.
See, I would actually say that Leslie Shepard would have the better game as opposed to Victor Cruz. But at the same time, if Victor
Cruz still got those catches, though.
Right.
You never could doubt that. And it's really on Eli, though. It's about where Eli puts the ball.
Don't sleep on Larry Donnell. I should have probably mentioned that in this fantasy minute. But yeah, if you're looking for tight end help, Larry Donnell's out there as well. And the nice thing about, there's certain things that you're just comfortable with that you can kind of know. And that's why I like Victor Cruz, is because we kind of already know what to expect, not only from Eli Manning, but from Victor Cruz. And they have years of chemistry, even though he hasn't been on the field for 2 seasons. They're still watching tape. They're still in the locker room together. They're still.
Well, I mean, Eli's one of the kind of people that you can't sleep on him because he could get it to anybody. It's about what he sees in the defense. As what him and his brother definitely got a comment that they read the defense. So it depends on what Washington gives them. And I really don't think, besides Norman, Washington has enough to contain all 3 of those receivers plus the tight end. I just don't see it.
Exactly, and I think that's the biggest issue too. Is even though they got that revamped defense there, they spent $200 million revamping that defense over the next 3 years. But the big, and of course getting Josh Norman is huge there. But I think the big thing about it though is if you're Washington, these are the games you got to win, or against your division rivals.
Oh yeah, and they already lost one in the division,
right?
So they 1-1.
You've already lost to the Cowboys. You gotta beat the Giants this week, because if you don't, Dak Prescott's just as good as Tony Romo at this point.
Then they would be 0-2 in the division, and pretty much that puts them in a really bad position anyway, 0-3. But I mean, that's where they're going to be.
But pardon the expression, that division's trash, and 7-9 won it last year. So you never know what's going to happen this year.
I don't know. I think a lot of those teams are revamped. I mean, the Eagles got the rookie who's really looking good, who was the first rookie ever to win 2 games with no turnovers.
Carson Wentz is looking like the Rams missed that first pick, actually. But
I feel for the Browns. We don't need that guy.
I feel most bad for the Browns because it's week 3 and they're already starting.
Okay, so I was watching something today, and Roethlisberger, who also got overlooked by the Browns, brought that up, how the Browns overlooked someone else again, not just him, but now they did it again, and how, he really liked Wentz, and he liked what he brings, because, they're playing against each other. It's the Battle of Pennsylvania this week.
Exactly, which in that game, if you've been kind of paying attention to it, that's one of those games where the rookie's going to come out just shooting all over the place. Cause,
it's going to be hard, though, because that Steelers defense, they play a lot of cover.
Right.
They play a lot of cover and a lot of traps. So they're going to try to trap him
over
in the
past 2 years, the Steelers' defense has been the absolute worst in the NFL when it comes to defending against the pass, which, if we're talking fantasy again at this point, like I said earlier, Nelson Aguilar is probably the guy to have in that game. I wouldn't sleep on Brent Selleck either, although if you had,
yeah, we see
one of the 15 tight ends
is going to do if he's
one of the better 15 tight ends this week, then I would take him. But
if you make a couple one-handed catches again like week 1.
Yeah. Then exactly. And that's the thing is, especially when you have a rookie and you're making catches like that.
Yeah. But you know what I liked about what the Eagles are doing is the play calls. The rookie coach is doing some really good play calls. They last week they did a play call I've never seen before on the 1-yard line, where they literally threw almost screen to the fullback, but coming out the backfield on a fake the other way. I had never seen that. That was a really good play call. Caught him totally off guard. I mean, the things they are doing with Rent, I think it's because Rent is so smart that they can do these things. He's really getting it. And, he's the rookie coach is calling the plays, man. They looking good.
Well, that, and I was going to say most Philly Eagle fans are just excited there's not Chip Kelly there anymore.
Yes,
and
we are.
and that said, I think that...
Well, the offense is staying on the field.
Right,
the defense is getting a break, more than last year.
Right, and that's that's exactly what the point is because the offense isn't in, let's get this done in 3 minutes while the defense is still
and
getting
the defense
Gatorade.
is actually good numbers even in fantasy, and it's because they're not getting exposed because they're not on the field so much.
Right.
So they're not tired and they're not looking like they just trash.
Oh, and their best players aren't getting traded away because they speak up.
Yeah.
that always helps in the locker room too.
Yeah.
So with that said, I'm Jimmie Menezes.
I'm Jay Freeda.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Catch us next week on Sports Talk.
And look for us on Facebook, Sports Talk on MyTV26. Have a good week.
Until then, see you later.